I used to believe I had the kind of life people envied. A stable job, a cozy home, a husband who kissed me every morning like it was the first time, and a brother who always had my back. Ryan and I had been married for 3 years. He wasn't flashy or overly romantic, but he was steady. He remembered the little things, how I liked my coffee, which side of the bed I slept on, how I got quiet when I was overwhelmed. And I loved him for that. My brother Daniel had always been the golden child. Charismatic, ambitious, the kind of person people gravitated to. He moved in with us temporarily while waiting for his apartment to be ready after a sudden job transfer to the city. I was excited at first. We hadn't lived under the same roof since college, and it felt like a chance to reconnect. Ryan was on board too, said it would be nice to have another man around. The first few weeks were smooth. We had dinners together, movie nights on Fridays, and inside jokes flying across the room like we were teenagers again. Daniel helped around the house without being asked, bringing groceries, fixing little things. Ryan and Daniel even started hanging out without me, watching sports, grabbing beers, talking about work. I loved seeing them bond. One evening, I came home early from work. I walked in on them sitting in the living room, mid-conversation. They stopped talking the second they noticed me. It was probably nothing, I told myself. Maybe they were planning something for my birthday. But my instincts whispered otherwise. I brushed it off. Still, something shifted after that. Ryan seemed distracted more often, his phone always tilted away when I walked by. Daniel was still helpful, but I caught him watching me quietly once or twice, like he was trying to figure something out. I mentioned it to Ryan as a joke. Your new best friend is starting to act weird. He just laughed and changed the subject. I didn't think much of it until I found one of Ryan's shirts in the laundry that smelled like Daniel's cologne. Strange. I convinced myself it was just the dryer. The rational part of me kept overriding the subtle red flags. After all, these were the two people I trusted most in the world. The idea of anything being wrong didn't just scare me, it offended me. One night, I heard them laughing together downstairs. I smiled from the bedroom. That sound made me feel safe, like my world was intact. But I didn't know then that I was living in a version of reality that had already begun to crack. And in hindsight, I think some part of me already knew. I just wasn't ready to face it yet. Ryan started coming home later than usual. At first, he blamed work, tight deadlines, urgent meetings, traffic. I believed him. But when late nights turned into weekends away and vague explanations, doubt started creeping in. He wasn't the same. His eyes didn't linger on me like they used to. Our conversations turned mechanical, like we were performing a routine instead of living a life together. Daniel, on the other hand, became more present, too present. He'd cook dinner before I got home, offer unsolicited compliments, ask questions that felt a little too personal. He bought me a scarf one day, said he saw it, and thought of me. It was my favorite color. I laughed it off, thinking maybe he was trying to cheer me up. But a voice inside me told me not to wear it. One night, Ryan left his phone charging in the kitchen.
It buzzed.
Just once. I wasn't snooping, but my eyes caught the preview. Last night was amazing. I can't stop thinking about you. No name. My chest tightened. I picked up the phone, but it was locked. He never used to lock it. I stared at the screen, trying to stay calm. Maybe it was work-related. Maybe it was spam. But I didn't believe that. Not really. I waited until he got home and casually brought it up. He laughed, called me paranoid, asked if I was feeling okay. I hated how easily he lied. I wanted to believe him, so I did, out loud. But in my head, I didn't. I started watching everything more closely. Daniel was always around when Ryan wasn't. He'd ask if I wanted company, offer to make drinks, watch movies. It started to feel intrusive. One evening, I saw him scrolling on his phone, smiling. I caught a glimpse of Ryan's name on the screen. I asked what was funny. He locked his phone without answering. A friend of mine noticed something I hadn't dared to say out loud. She asked if I was sure Ryan's affair wasn't with someone close. I laughed it off, but the idea clawed at me.
It made me sick.
I tried to think about who it could be, ran through a list in my head, coworkers, old friends, strangers. My own brother never made the list. That was a line I didn't think anyone would ever cross. Then I noticed the little things. Ryan leaving the guest room late at night. Daniel acting nervous when they were in the same room. Their jokes felt forced. Their silences were louder than their conversations. I was starting to feel like a guest in my own home. I confronted Ryan in the safest way I knew. Vague questions, soft tone, hoping he'd confess something, anything. But he didn't flinch. He told me I was imagining it. That nothing was wrong. That I was tired. That I was insecure. And somehow, I believed him just enough to doubt myself again. That night, I pretended to be asleep. I turned off the lights, laid still, and waited. At 1:17 a.m., I heard footsteps. Soft, careful. Then whispers. Two voices. I couldn't make out the words, but I knew who they belonged to. I got up quietly, heart pounding so loud I thought they'd hear it. I followed the sound. My instincts were screaming. I didn't want to be right. When I saw them, my breath stopped. Ryan, Daniel, standing too close, touching, laughing in a way that didn't belong to either of them. Then Ryan leaned in and they kissed. My husband and my brother. In my kitchen. Like it was normal.
Like I didn't exist.
I didn't move. I didn't cry. I just watched, frozen, while the life I thought I had disintegrated. They didn't see me. Not right away. When they did, Daniel stepped back like he'd touched fire. Ryan looked stunned, as if shocked I was standing there. No one said anything at first. Just silence, heavy and ugly. Then Ryan tried to speak. "It's not what you think," he said. That sentence pushed me over the edge. I asked how long. I didn't yell. I whispered because my voice was the only thing I could still control. Ryan said a few months. Daniel couldn't look at me. He kept rubbing his hands like he was trying to erase the guilt from his skin. He said it wasn't supposed to happen. That it started as something emotional. That it got confusing. That it became physical, just once.
I knew that was a lie.
It was never just once. I asked Daniel why. Why betray the one person who defended him his whole life? He said he didn't plan it. That they didn't mean to hurt me. But they did. In the worst way. It wasn't just a betrayal of love. It was a betrayal of blood. That night I lost both a partner and a brother. I told them to leave. Neither argued. Ryan tried to touch my arm. I pulled back. Daniel opened his mouth like he was going to say sorry, but no sound came. There was nothing left to say. After they left, I sat in silence for hours. I didn't cry.
Not yet.
I thought about every moment we'd shared, every lie they told, every smile that had meant nothing. I replayed it all, like a broken film I couldn't stop watching. I wasn't just heartbroken. I was humiliated. By the two people I loved most. It wasn't just the infidelity that shattered me. It was the calculation, the secrecy, the choice they made over and over again to keep me in the dark. I thought I knew them. I didn't know anything. And the worst part was I couldn't even tell who hurt me more. I didn't pack right away. I didn't scream or throw things or call anyone. I just stopped talking. For days. I walked through the apartment like a ghost, barely eating, barely sleeping. Everything felt foreign. The walls, the furniture, the photos that once made me smile. I couldn't stay. I didn't belong there anymore, and they definitely didn't belong in my life. I moved out the following week. Signed a lease on a small place across town. Quiet. Unfamiliar.
Perfect.
I didn't tell my parents the truth. I just said the marriage ended. I wasn't ready for the judgment. I knew how it would sound. And I was right. When the truth finally came out, they didn't believe me at first. Then, worse, they asked if maybe I misunderstood. As if there was any way to misunderstand what I saw. Daniel went silent. Not a call, not a message, not an apology. My mother begged me to make peace, said family was too important to lose over one mistake. I told her this wasn't a mistake. This was a choice. Repeated. Deliberate. Ryan tried reaching out once. A long message, full of excuses and half apologies, claiming he missed me, that he never meant to fall for him. I blocked the number and never responded. There was nothing left to say. Healing wasn't immediate. There were nights I questioned everything, my judgment, my worth, my future. I started therapy. I started writing. I started walking every morning just to remind myself I was still alive. Slowly, I stopped asking why and started asking what now. I stopped waiting for closure from them. I gave it to myself. I traveled for a while alone. I ate breakfast in cities where no one knew my name. I learned how to be with myself without feeling lonely. I learned how to trust again my own instincts, my own decisions. I made new friends, real ones. The kind who didn't need explanations for my quiet days. I learned how to laugh without faking it. What hurt the most wasn't the betrayal itself, but the fact that I never saw it coming. That I loved so blindly, I didn't see the knife until it was already in my back. But what came after, the silence, the reflection, the rebuilding, that was mine.
They don't get to take that from me.
I don't hate them. Not anymore. Hate takes energy I'd rather spend on healing. But I'll never forget. Not because I'm bitter, but because I refuse to repeat that kind of blindness again. I still believe in love. I still believe in loyalty. I just know now that trust is earned, not assumed. They broke a part of me, but they didn't destroy me. I survived. I rebuilt. And I'm still standing. That's the part they'll never understand.